And I'm going to have to stop you there because I thought Hearts were woeful throughout the whole game, and I thought we completely controlled the game, dominated it from start to finish. But we just
could you not wait till I get in here? Fuck's sake!
Sorry.
And the stadium erupts in red, white, and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Are You Ready podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek, and with me is my co-host Dave. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm very well, Derek. A wee bit jealous because this time it's been you that's been away on holiday, not me.
Well, Dave, I wish it was you instead of me because the wee one was an absolute nightmare. So what was meant to be a fairly stress-free holiday, it never turned out that way.
Derek, I'm not giving you any sympathy, mate, because I've been there and done that and got the t-shirt, so at least you still managed to get away. That was the main thing.
So we've obviously got a few games to cover and a rather unfortunate one. We've got to look back on it with a lot of pride, but it might take a bit of time, Davey.
It certainly will, Derek. It's been an incredibly emotional few weeks, incredibly stressful few weeks as well. Massive games that we had to play at the end of the season, so I'll let you get started, Derek.
Before we go any further though, we've obviously got to talk about the sad news that came today that Andy Gorham has got terminal cancer and he's been given the horrible news that he's only got around about 6 months to live. Dave, what can you say about that? It's absolutely horrible.
Tragic, Derek. I can only imagine what the man's going through, what his family's going through. It must be absolutely horrendous. Obviously, we wish him all the best because he's our goalkeeper. He's one of my heroes, Derek. He's from our sort of golden era. He's only 58. He's not an old man. And to be given that news is absolutely devastating. It's also devastating for all the Rangers fans out there that absolutely love the man. So we really just have to, hope he says he's going to keep fighting. We hope that's the case, but just really tragic news. And we're thinking about him big time over this, just a really sad news that we heard.
Yes, certainly drawn, the words of loads of people around the footballing world. I mean, it was on Sky News, Sky Sports News. Manchester United obviously sent out something as well on their Twitter. Obviously, used to play for them for a very brief period of time. But, all we can say is no surrender, the goalie.
Yep, just keep fighting. I'm sure he will, Derek. And like I said, we'll be rooting for him big time.
Yep. Obviously, we've got to cover as well, just in between a couple of the games there, the funeral of Jimmy Bell, attended by close friends and family throughout the football world as well. Obviously, the hearse went by Ibrox for fans to pay their respects as well, and just a really sad time for the club just now. Yeah, it is, and I think you can see that with the players also, Derek, and but great tribute by the club and by the players. They were wanting to go out and do their best by Jimmy, and I'm sure he would have been proud, every single one of them. Yep. So we'll now go down the tunnel and onto the park. So, before we get into, obviously, the game that we're really wanting to not cover anymore, but we've got a Premiership game against Hearts to cover, and it was the last Premiership game of the season, and it was on Saturday, the 14th of May, away to Hearts in the Premiership, where we won 3-1. Dave, I can't really remember much about this game, to be honest. Derek, I can remember just sitting thinking before the game, what is Gio going to do?
And you're sitting there thinking myself, this is a clever man. He's sitting there thinking, and you're sitting there thinking, I sat there and I thought,
is he going to play some players to try and get them match fit? We were thinking especially guys like Aaron Ramsey. Is he going to give them a shout so that they could try and get match fit for the Europa League final? Is he going to play the players that are going to play in the Europa League final to keep them all match fit, or is he just going to go out with no disrespect to a lot of the guys that were playing, but a second string or a lot of youth players, and it was the latter that he went with. But certainly a lot of good things to talk about during the game, Derek, as I'm sure you'll be able to highlight for us, but especially the performance of young Alex Lowry, who was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I mean, there was 15 changes for both teams, and I think 10 of them were certainly from our point of view anyway. We lined up McLaughlin, Devine, Sands, Balogun, King, Davis, Ramsey, Arfield, Diallo, Itten and Lowry. On the subs bench, we had Simpson, McCrory, McCann, Richie Hostler, Weston, McCausland, McKinnon, Miller and Fraser, with an average age of our bench being 20, which is... which is a bit mad. Yep. But certainly we went behind on the 24th minute with Herring scoring. And see, to be honest with you, Dave, at that point I was like, meh, I don't care. There's bigger things to come and there's bigger fish to fry. So I was like, see, even if we lose this game, I'm not really bothered. But certainly after that, we then started to turn the screw. Yep,
it was one-way traffic after that, Derek. Let's be perfectly honest with you. And it was just great, as I say, to see a lot of the young players, just to see how they would cope with the pressure. Away at Tynecastle, being a goal behind, just to see how, they could react to that, to try and get into the game. And they certainly reacted to it perfectly.
Yep, because after that, Cedric Itten scored on the 32nd minute with Lowry setting him up as well. So great to see Lowry starting to throw his weight about and showing how good a player he can be. And great for Itten as well, which we're delighted for.
Yeah, certainly, because I think we're all expecting that this could be his last season with us, Derek. He's not had a lot of opportunities. He has had a lot of criticism as well, but he scored a couple of important goals, especially last season for us. So it was great to see him just be able to come into the team out of the cold and get a goal. It must have been great for his confidence as well. And as you say, Alec Lowry playing his part in his goal, absolutely brilliant.
Yep, Lowry involved again, and not only involved, he actually scored on the 46th minute as well. Brilliant.
Great goal, Derek. Excellent for him. Ran the show ever since we went behind. You could see that he was just getting a hold of the ball, getting the game by the scruff of the neck and really going for it. And it was just excellent to see. I think this was the type of performance we were actually hoping that Aaron Ramsey was going to have rather than Alex Lowry, because Lowry was definitely the standout and a great goal for him to score as well.
Yep. So certainly in control at that point. We made a change at half-time with McCann coming on for Arfield. Yep. Simpson came on for Balogun on the 61st minute. McKinnon came on for Ramsey a minute beforehand as well. Ramsey did get the assist for the Lowry goal. McCausland came on for Diallo, and Weston on the 71st minute came on for Davis as well. And then we rounded out the game with a goal for Cole McKinnon on the 81st minute. And it was a cracking goal as well.
Absolutely incredible goal, and what a goal for him to remember as well, Derek. We realised that the league had gone, but still for these young guys to come in playing in a game like that, absolutely fantastic. And what a finish it was by him also, Derek. Great goal. Yeah,
and I think what it really does highlight is how good the Lowland League has been for our youth players this season. They've been coming up against, granted it's not the same level of opposition, but it's proper adults they're playing. It's not as if it's like silly wee laddies or anything. So they're coming up against big solid guys.
I have watched a few games in the Lowland League, Derek, both seeing Rangers and watching my local team, which is East Stirlingshire. And the one thing I'll say, Derek, is there are a lot of sort of older veterans playing, as well as young guys trying to prove something that maybe didn't quite make it. So it's an incredibly competitive league. And these players that they're coming up against, I'll certainly not show them any mercy. So as you say, I think it's made them grow up a bit quicker, which has been great, and it certainly helps them adapt to coming into games like that, because they know exactly what to expect. And these guys showed up, Derek. They've done an excellent job for us, and I was really, really impressed. I realised it was a game, it was a nothing game, but still to be able to see the sort of fruits of the youth team coming through and playing like that, it's excellent. It bodes well for the future.
Absolutely. The problem is, though, there's apparently a bit of a dispute over the Lowland League this year, or for the coming season, because it was initially agreed that Hearts would be joining Rangers and Celtic, and I think the fee that each team would get would be effectively doubling. But there's some sort of dispute. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but we'll need to wait and see if it actually materialises. It would be a shame for everybody concerned, because it certainly benefits us. It would obviously unfortunately benefit Celtic, but the teams, the Lowland League teams who are going to be desperate for money is just as every other team, they're going to be losing out on even more money next year. It would seem a bit daft to me, but you never know.
Yep.
So that left us in the league sitting in second, unfortunately. Played 30, won 27, drawn 8, lost 3, scored 80, conceded 31, goal difference plus 49, and we're on 89 points. Now, Celtic won the league by 4 points. Significantly, they had 21 better goal difference than us, and they lost the same amount of games as well.
Yeah.
It was all down to the drawn games.
It certainly was, Derek. If you look back, I know that we've covered this before. I was actually looking back at all the games there, and the amount of draws that we had, even at Ibrox, was criminal. Especially games against Motherwell, games against Aberdeen, drawn with Hearts, and then of course there was the game that we played against Ross County that they got the equaliser 6 minutes into injury time and stuff like that. I mean, that's, I've rhymed off 4 games there, Derek, which, would have been the difference of 8 points. Do you know what I mean? It's games that we were winning comfortably and certain games that we threw away, and that inevitably is what has lost us the league.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it, and that is what is so disappointing this year. The defensive record was criminal at some times in that respect, not helped by McGregor making mistakes in pretty much the 4 games that you were talking about as well that cost us goals, especially the Ross County game. I mean, the 3 each game, all 3 goals were down to him for me. It's the same time, though, you can't blame them for that, because it shouldn't be happening, but the amount of times he saved us as well, you've got to kind of balance that up.
I know, Derek. I think going by the high standard that the defence set the season before we were able to see games out, I think a lot of these games also, we spoke about it, injuries to key players, especially Alfredo Morelos, was a huge blow for us, especially coming to the end of the season. Who knows what would have happened, especially it was a January that we were absolutely delighted with, that didn't turn out the way that we had hoped. I know a lot of it is hindsight, Derek, but like we've already said, it has definitely been down to those draws, and just very frustrating. If we can't say any more, we can't sugarcoat it. We must do better defensively in these games when we're only winning by 1 goal, and they blew it, on quite a few occasions.
Yep. Anyway, we'll move on now, because we had bigger fish to fry. The big thing, though, was the Europa League final. It was on Wednesday the 18th of May. Unfortunately, though, we lost 5-4 on penalties. Now, we'll get into that, obviously. But, Dave, I know there was a bit of issues, and you obviously highlighted that on the last podcast. And where did you end up watching the game?
I ended up watching it in the house with my family, Derek, to be fair to my wife and my daughter, who don't usually have anything to do with football or take any interest. They put the colours on. We all had Rangers tops on, made a big night of it in the house. I was happy just as long as I got to watch it with my son, and it was the added bonus that the whole family was there to watch it, Derek. And I know yourself, you were away, you were in the correct speaking area, but you weren't in mainland Spain, were you?
No, so I was in Tenerife, and I flew out on the Tuesday, and it was just a sea of bears at the airport from very early on. My mate had flown out earlier on from Edinburgh Airport. He was going to Seville. I think he had it was a journey from Edinburgh to Amsterdam to Madrid, and then Madrid into Seville. So I think he had tickets for the fan zone, but he ended up making it there, which was good. But I see a blue noses everywhere, speaking to them all. It was, I wouldn't say subdued, but it wasn't, raucous or anything like that at the airport. Speaking to one bear on the plane, he was going to Tenerife because he couldn't get a flight to mainland Spain anywhere around the area, and he was going to Tenerife with the view of trying to make it to mainland Spain from Tenerife. So going from every which way. It was incredible. I ended up watching it in Taylor's Bar, as I put on on Twitter on the day, just speaking to loads of Bears in and around the pool area as well. I was nervous. I couldn't even enjoy my holiday until the game was over. I was shaking all like a leaf all the time. Father-in-law, a kind of fair weather Celtic fan, he was under the impression we were going to win it. He never joined me, unfortunately, though, which was kind of a good thing in that respect. But it was a great atmosphere. Taylor's, I wouldn't say it was absolutely mobbed, but it was certainly Rangers fans anyway. Typical me, I sat down, got my pint, needed a pee straight away almost. So I had a good vantage point. Didn't want to lose
Derek, that's nerves, definitely.
Didn't want to lose my table. So there was another boy sitting next to me on the other table by himself as well. I says, "Can you do me a favour and look after my pint, mate, please?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." In a German accent that was there. And
No, I was going to say, Derek, I thought Sean Connery had died. You know?
And,
Derek, you've cheered me up. One of your impersonations.
But I went to the toilet and I was thinking, I've just asked a German guy to look after my pint when we're about to play a German team and I'm wearing like a Rangers top. But it turned out he wasn't German after all, he was Austrian.
So is that an Austrian accent?
Easy mistake to make, Dave, wasn't it?
Oh, dear. Right, sorry, mate, on you go.
But turned out to be a really sound guy, and he said it was an honour to watch the football with me as well, a proper fan. He never had a horse in the race at all. He wasn't really a big fan of football. He just wanted to get away from his wife for a wee bit and watch the football.
Right.
But sound guy anyway, and it was a good atmosphere watching it. However, it was nervy. My Apple Watch was going off all the time saying that I was above 120 beats per minute for my heart. I looked at it several times and it was resting at 150 most of the time.
My God.
Considering I've got blood pressure issues, it certainly wasn't a great night for me watching that anyway.
I was the same, Derek. I was on tenterhooks all day. It was my day off. I couldn't relax whatsoever. I couldn't enjoy the game either, to be perfectly honest with you, but I don't think there are many Rangers fans out there that actually enjoy watching us when we're playing anyway, let's be honest, because we're usually up to high, though. It has completely consumed me, Derek, and I've got to be honest with you, too painful to watch the game back at all. So I've never looked at anything. I've never seen Aribo's goal back. I've never seen the penalties back. I've never seen anything. I was absolutely devastated at the end of it, and it's taken me quite some time to get over it. I still don't think I'm over it yet, but certainly speaking to all the Bears that were there, and I know a lot of guys that were there, they had a fantastic time and an absolute credit to the club also. I'll let you get into the game, Derek, if you want to, but I'll be totally honest with you, it's been too painful for me to look back at the game at all.
Likewise, it's probably not a game like Manchester. I'll not watch it back at all. We'll certainly look back on this campaign with a lot more pride, I think, because of the way we done it. Granted, I wasn't in the stadium, but the atmospheres in the semis and the quarters, and was and against Dortmund as well, just some of the best you'll see in European football there. So the lineup, certainly a decent team. I don't think anybody had any arguments with the team. McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Bassey, Barisic, Jack, Lundstrom, Kamara, Wright, Aribo and Kent. On the subs bench we had Diallo, Davis, Ramsey, Sands, Roof, Balogun, McCrory, Sakala, McLaughlin, Arfield, King and Lowry. Now obviously the big thing was Roof going to make it? He certainly made the team, however he wasn't quite fit enough, was he?
No, he wasn't, Derek, and I think we'd been speculating all week what the team was going to be. I had a wee sneaky suspicion that Ramsey was going to get the nod over Wright, but that wasn't going to be the case. But apart from that, we had seen in the semi-final, as certain big games, Aribo playing not quite as a striker, Derek, but playing sort of just a bit deeper than a striker, that we were going to have some joy from him playing in that position. So, as close to a full-strength team, I think, as we could possibly have put out there.
Yep, absolutely. The game itself, I don't think we played very well, Dave, to be honest. I think the occasion got to us. I think there was too much nerves with the players. Whether that's the case, I don't know. I certainly think Frankfurt were a lot better than we gave them credit for. And we never taken them lightly at all. We knew how good they could be, because they obviously put out Barcelona, they put out West Ham, but I think we almost felt, oh, we've beat two better sides than them already this season from Germany. This will not be as hard, but certainly they came at us, they done their homework, they knew how to play us. We couldn't cope with it. Anytime we did get forward, I don't think we were effective at all. I felt Ryan Kent, certainly not a shooter of the ball anyway. There was one time I think he had a chance where he should have put it on target and he blasted it wide. There was another couple of chances like that. Our chances came few and far between. That said, don't think Alan McGregor had many things to do either.
No.
Not a lot at all. The stats here I've got is we had more on target than them, which is a bit crazy.
I think the first half, Derek, was very nervy. I think by us, I would say that Frankfurt had more control of the game without really doing anything. And then we obviously scored in the second half and we didn't hang on to that lead, which was really annoying. And once Frankfurt scored, I don't think there was really anything in the game after that at all, Derek, apart from, as you're probably about to get into some of the wee chances, the huge chance that we created in extra time. But apart from that, there wasn't much in between the two teams at all.
No, it was... It's hard to explain. It was kind of a cagey but open game at the same time. I would have said it was, if you can even describe it like that. I mean, they, as I said, they'd done their homework on us. They knew how to counter us. We scored with Aribo scoring, and Dave, that is the best feeling outside of sex I've ever felt. Just, euphoria for that 12 minutes where we held that lead. I think I made the woman next to me deaf in one ear because I was screaming that loud. And certainly that's when you knew the pub was certainly full of Rangers fans anyway. Place was going absolutely mental. What a goal. It came from a defensive mistake, a bit of a slip. Aribo taking the ball forward, got the ball into the box and had a shot past the keeper. Keeper might have be able to do a wee bit better, but it was a great shot anyway. And just what a celebration. Everybody going berserk. Brilliant.
It was incredible. Me and my son just grabbed each other, Derek. We were going absolutely ballistic. And we were in dreamland for 12 minutes, weren't we? We were in dreamland. We really, really had high hopes, that we could hang on to it. It was just an incredible feeling of euphoria for us at that stage, for us to be winning in a major European final, certainly into the second half. It was incredible. We were in dreamland.
Yep, Aribo scored in the 57th minute. However, I think we maybe scored too early, and that has maybe been the big problem with that. You can never say we've scored too early in a European final, I suppose, but that was the nature of it. They did start to play a wee bit better after that, and they scored on the 69th minute, and it was just
a culmination of poor defending, Derek, and poor clearances. Easy clearances, I would say, for a professional player. But I'll let you dissect it.
I think, there's been an issue with Bassey. Yeah, he gets beat, but any player on the wing, and especially in defence, can get beat. So, he might have done better there, but he was playing immense the whole game, so you can't take that away from him. The big issue, though, is that same issue we've been having all season, and it's where we've lost majority of our goals, and it's been through defensive naivety and the lack of ability. And it was Goldson should have cleared that ball. I don't know what he was playing. He was facing goal. All he had to do was stick his leg out, and he never bothered to do that. And it beat our first man. I think their player was in between two of our players, managed to get in front, stuck a leg out and into the near post. It was a criminal goal to lose. I mean, the Aribo goal, yes, it did stem from more of a defensive mistake, but it was a slip. It can happen. Aribo still had a lot to do. It was a simple goal they scored, and it really was. It was beats the man. He gets a cross off. Goldson can't clear his line once again. All he had to do was stick a leg out, but the only person that did stick a leg out was their attacker into the back of the net. Absolutely criminal.
I don't think it should even have got that far, Derek. It was poor marking by Goldson. The guy just ghosted past him and Bassey, but it was Goldson's man with a shadow of doubt, and a bread and butter clearance for a defender of his experience. But before that, Derek, as well, it was Scott Wright on the wing who had the chance to cut out the cross and just sat back, and the man was allowed to put the cross in. So I think it was a culmination of both. I think that Wright could have done a lot better defensively, and I realise that he's a winger. I do get that. But I think he, if he'd have closed the man down, the cross wouldn't have came in. But again, really lackadaisical by Goldson, and that guy should never be able to get in between two defenders and, just stroke the ball home. It was a calamity on both sides, Derek, and really disappointing for us, the fact that we had managed to take the lead and thrown it away like that. Really poor defending, and as you say, it's not the first time this season that's happened, unfortunately.
No, it's been the story of our season, defensive calamities, and that's the big issue. So after their goal, the game kind of settled back down into the same rhythm it had before we scored. We made a double substitution on the 74th minute with Jack and Wright coming off, Davis and Sakala coming on. So Jack for Davis, you can kind of understand, a bit of a holding midfielder. Sakala for Wright, more of a kind of like for like there, but I think we all wanted Roof on at this point.
Yes.
We wanted that goal because it was within our grasp as well.
Yep.
Towards the end of the night, McGregor, I think, pulled off a great save, if I can remember right. So at that point, I would have taken extra time. So 90 minutes came and gone. Extra time came. Again, it was much of a muchness between both teams. They were both feeling each other out. Yep. Sands came on for a rebo on the 101st minute. A bit of a strange one, I felt.
Totally, Derek. Totally. Again, we were crying out for a striker. We were crying out for one man that could make a chance, and we really quite shocked at that point that was the substitution. No offence to James Sands at all, but in a major European final, you're needing a goal, and at that point, I knew that we were looking as if we were going to be settling for penalties at that stage. But I'm sure, as I say, there's still another talking point to go before we got there, Derek. Yeah.
Into the second half of extra time, again, pretty much the same. Roof did come on the 117th minute for Barisic. So I think Barisic had picked up a wee knock as well, if I can remember right. It was attacking minded, obviously, as well, with a mind for going to penalties also. And within 60 seconds, he had a major impact because the ball was played forward. He got right to the goal line. He managed to cross the ball in. Kent had a kind of sweeping kick at the ball, going goal bound, and the outstretched legs of the keeper manages to save it. Absolutely heartbreaking moment right there.
That was the chance, Derek. That was the chance to win it. So late on, and the one chance that we were desperate to get in the box, clear-cut chance. To be fair to Ken, he sprinted to get on to the end of that. He battered it. 99 times out of 100, that's going to, the back of the net. But an incredible save by Kevin Trapp off his, his leg and a way out. And I don't know about you, Derek. At that stage, I was getting the fear at that stage. I think that time, because I thought that really was the chance that we wanted, to go in and win it, and it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was shades of. I think Barry Ferguson had a similar chance when it was 1-0 for Zenit all those years ago as well, and you thought that's the one. But I think though that was going to be an issue because there would have been certainly a VAR check, and I'm still unclear at this stage whether the ball fully went over the line when Roof kicked it anyway, because it was. Put it this way, it was a ball here. If it was still on the line, Dave, I think that would have been ruled out anyway if it had went in.
It's hindsight, Derek. We can only go by what happened. Unfortunately, we didn't even get that far for it to go to a VAR check. So no, that was that. But as I say, that was the chance we'd be looking for. And again, hindsight, Derek. If Roof had been on even at the start of extra time, full half an hour to play. Could they have fashioned another chance for us to score? Maybe we'd been crying out for it, but that wasn't to be.
And a minute later, it's ironic that you just mentioned the word fashion there, because the substitute, Sakala, came off for Aaron Ramsey on the 118th minute, and I'm trying not to blame the guy, but what a costly mistake that turned out to be, Dave.
I know.
Purely a penalty reason, that's the thing.
Yeah, it was. He was bringing on, he's obviously spoke to the players beforehand. I think the way he said that, Barisic would definitely have been a penalty taker, which I would have said correctly also, because he is he's taken free kicks and corners before, so that'd be a guy. But obviously Barisic was off. See, he was looking for his experienced guys to step up, Derek, to take the penalties. That's that's what that was down to, 100%.
Yeah. So at that point, it was going to penalties. So, Dave, I don't know about you, but I couldn't really watch them. I think I watched the first one. I celebrated the first one. We were first to take the kick. I celebrated that. They scored, and then I quickly I couldn't move after that. I was in fear. I was panicking. I was resigned to the fact that I kind of thought this isn't going to go our way for some weird reason. And look what happened.
Yeah, I know.
9 great penalties, and Aaron Ramsey with a extremely lacklustre penalty right down the middle with no pace. The keeper was too good. If he, outstretched leg, got to it, and that ended up being the decisive penalty. Dave, I loathe to blame players when it comes to penalties because it's a cruel, cruel way.
Yep.
Better players than Ramsey can miss penalties. A lot of people were going mental at him for that. I'm not going to blame him at all. It's one of these things. It's, he had the nerve to come up and step up and take it. When he didn't look confident, to be honest, when I seen him. It was a poor penalty, and all I can say is the signing has not worked out for us. But I think a lot of people were looking at the way his signing has went and completely blaming him for everything, and I don't think that's fair. I just think we've got to look at the whole game and think, look, they couldn't beat us. I had to go to penalties. I think we've done ourselves mightily proud.
We did. It's so painful, though, Derek. That's just the issue. That's as I suppose. So painful for it to happen, for us to go so far, for us to be toe to toe with them. There would be nothing in it for it to go to penalties. It's you've heard the old cliche. It's a cruel way to end a game, and for him to be the one that steps up and misses. I think if it had been almost any other Rangers player, there would have been a lot more sympathy, but because just the way everything has panned out for Ramsey ever since he signed for us, he's not had a lot of sympathy, and which is it's no his fault that way, Derek. As I say, I would never ever have a go at the guy. He had the bottle, he step up and take it. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. A really, really tough thing to do, and we've seen world class players miss it. Just unfortunately, it was him that done it. I was really hoping the fairy tale thing for me, Derek, would have been for McGregor to have got a save in that final. That wasn't to be, because you say there was 9 fantastically struck penalties, really top quality. But it just had to be our luck, Derek, and it had to be him that happened to, and just absolutely gutted, numb, still thinking about it. The new Derek, you've put me in a total down. Just even thinking about it, really, really cruel and gutted for everybody to do with Rangers and all the fans that had travelled all that way. It was within our grasp, and it wasn't to be. So, as you say, Derek, the achievement for us to get to a major European final, is absolutely sensational, something that we won't forget. But we won't be a bunch of weird bastards and name fucking suites and have a stage show in the Glasgow Pavilion Theatre about us all gone to Seville. We'll certainly not celebrate getting defeated in a European Cup final like a certain other team did. But proud the fact that we got there, Derek. Proud that we actually managed to score and take the lead, but just really, really cruel and still very numb in my heart at this present time.
I mean, I got back to the hotel and I couldn't speak, and I weirdly met the guy I'd been speaking to earlier about it, and just both of us were couldn't speak. He was like, I'm away to my bed, and I was like, I'm going for a pint. Another stuff drink after that. But credit to everybody that was involved in the run, because it's certainly, something that shouldn't have happened. We were punching well above our weight, and it just shows you that you get a core group of players who can play on the day, then anything can happen. I mean, we're a team worth, £13.5 million, and you've got to bear in mind £7 million was on one player, and that was Ryan Kent. Yep. And we're coming up against, and not only matching, but absolutely cuffing, absolutely annihilating sometimes teams that are worth £300, £400, £500 million.
And that's what I've even seen Giovanni Van Bronckhorst getting a lot of stick, Derek. You've got to remember, this is the Gio's team. This is a team that he's inherited. And for him to be able to get the players motivated and playing like he has in these massive games, you've got to wonder what he could do if he did have a bit of money behind him to bring in, players for his system. It's been nothing short of incredible, the run that we've had, and we'll be speaking about it for years and years. We'll certainly be speaking about this run a lot more than we spoke about a run 2008. It's been fantastic, and we've got to remember that. It's an incredible achievement, and I say, just disappointing that that's happened. But it does give us some confidence, Derek, about next season, about hopefully trying to get into the group stages of the Champions League, because if we can raise our games, especially at Ibrox, against teams that we've put out, then I'm hoping that we'll be able to do the same for next season and get us back into Champions League, which would be absolutely fantastic as well. So
yeah, you've got to remember though, Dave, is 92, 93, the following season after nearly getting into the Champions League final, I think we fucked up Europe, didn't we? The qualifiers. We done the exact same in 2009 as well, Dave.
I know.
But one stat I want to do highlight, Dave, because this for me is absolutely phenomenal. Now, for a Scottish team, the way Europe is just now, the way it's built, it's not built for us getting to the final, not at all. Now, the fact that we have been in 2 European finals in 14 years is incredible. You never thought, Dave, I think every Rangers fan these days would never have thought we would get to 1, never mind 2. Yeah. What the bigger stat is, and what's more incredible, is you look at the fact that we weren't in Europe for 5 seasons. We've been in 2 European finals in 9 attempts to do it. Dave,
that's quite incredible. Yeah,
that is unbelievable. Yeah. So that's less than 1 in 5. So in 4 years' time, we're going to another European final.
I hope you're right. I really hope you're right. No, I've never heard that before. That's quite an incredible stat, actually, if you think about it. So, no, I'm pleased. Gio has taken a lot of stick, Derek, but you've got to say, especially in Europe, he's been spot on with his tactics, and the fitness level of the players this season also has been absolutely sensational as well. So we will remember these games for a long, long time, Derek. They'll go down in folklore with Rangers fans. So some of the nights that we've witnessed this season, just a pity that we just couldn't go that one step further. But as you say, Derek, the next time we got beat in 90 minutes the last time, we went to extra time and penalties this time, so surely the next time we'll win it outright. So that's what we've got to hope for.
Yeah. One thing that's come of this, obviously, is the fact that we missed out on automatic Champions League qualification and top seeds in the Champions League as well, which would have been incredible. However, the money we've made in this run, I think they've worked it out at the prize money around about 20 million, and then factor in tickets and everything like that as well. You're talking about 40 to 45 million pound we've made from that. So that is an absolute incredible amount of money to have made of this. Absolutely amazing. The last thing we've got to talk about this game, though, is the absolutely shocking conditions our fans had to put up with while in Seville as well. Everything went to a T in terms of Seville, in terms of the atmosphere. There was no trouble at all, not one Rangers arrest,
which is Derek, that is incredible. I defy any team in the world to take that amount of fans there, and for there to be not one arrest is incredible, because that's all we've been hearing for the 2 weeks running up. All the usual suspects out there pray for Seville and all of this absolute nonsense. The Rangers fans out there done us credit, Derek. They really did.
I mean, 100,000 fans over there. I'm sure you know a few, Dave. I know a few.
Yep.
A fan zone was eventually set up, I think, in one of the stadiums, and they had another fan zone outside somewhere as well. Shocking pricing for the beers, apparently. £13.50 or something like that. €13.50. My dad was speaking to one of our neighbours today and says that there was kegs and kegs left because nobody was agreeing to drink it. Nah. The more concerning and absolutely shocking thing that happened, though, is our fans, from obviously not being there, we're just going on second and third hand information here, though, but it was absolutely abysmal, where there was 3 separate checks for your tickets. They were taking items off people like medication, like phone chargers, like suntan lotion, like bottles of water. All of that was pre-agreed with. Yeah, all of that was agreed by UEFA. The police were overzealous, once again using batons completely unjustifiably. There was no water there was one water kiosk open out of 5 around the stadium. Tifo wasn't allowed in when it was already pre-agreed. They made up some dodgy excuse on the day of as well. Dave, it's unbelievable that nobody died at that game. Certainly a lot of reports of people fainting, had to get medical assistance. When our club physio has to go and attend to fans, when our players have to go and hand out bottles of water to fans, that is nothing short of an absolute disgrace. UEFA have to hold their heads in shame. Obviously there was the issues in Paris as well, a completely different issue, ticketing issues and fans going a wee bit daft and all that. But again, apparently loads of locals pickpocketing and overzealous cops. But nice to see that UEFA are actually apparently investigating that, but no mention of what's happened in Seville. So it's good to see that Rangers, our fans, Frankfurt and their fans have all got together, went to this separate ombudsman, which, considering you can't even, as a fan, you can't complain directly to UEFA, but that's getting taken up and they are writing a big dossier up about all the issues, and hopefully UEFA are going to do something about that, but I don't hold out any hope.
Basic human rights, Derek, with water. I mean, I've heard incidents from all of the major press outlets out there, Sky News, BBC, STV, TalkSport, have all spoke about their own staff and reporters being in the stadium and handing out bottles of water, as many as they could, to the Rangers fans, because they all genuinely had concerns for players, for fans, keeling over, fainting with dehydration. The guy, one of the reporters for Sky News, says that he was doing everything because they had a huge supply. The media and sponsors had huge supplies of water, and they were doing everything they could to hand out as many bottles as they could to supporters. That's not up to them to do that, Derek. So quite incredible. Being told to go in and drink for the taps and the toilets, and that's taps in the toilets, Derek, not drinking from the toilets, as many of the idiots for across the city are saying that we had to do. Not the case. It was we were told to drink from taps from the toilets, and the vast majority of them had been turned off as well. It was completely inhumane, the way that the supporters were treated, and as you say, how there wasn't some sort of disaster in there, I do not know.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you said, basic human rights, basic humanity. You can't, and UEFA don't care about that. They've got their money. They're quite happy. They're keeping their sponsors happy. The fans who actually make the sponsors the money in the first place are they mean nothing. So we'll see what happens with that one. There's going to be an investigation into the Champions League farce, but 2 finals in a row. They can't get away with that one. They can't hide from that. So we'll see what comes of it. Yeah. However, we'll move on now into the Scottish Cup. I'm just want to cover this briefly. I mean, I was watching that in Taylor's again. It was annoying because they only had a couple of wee screens on. The Sunderland playoff was playing, and that was what everybody was there to see, bar me and a couple of people. My father-in-law did come to this one, weirdly, because it was a Scottish Cup game. Listening to the Sunderland commentary while watching a completely different game was a weird experience.
I couldn't handle that, Derek, but no. Good on you for sticking with it.
Aye. So we lined up a surprise, maybe not a surprise, because we had the cupkeeper McLaughlin, Tavernier, Goldson, Balogun, Bassey, Davis, Lundstrom, Arfield, Diallo, Aribo and Kent. On the subs bench were McGregor, Jack, Itten, Ramsey, Kamara, Sands, Wright, Roof, Sakala, King and Lowry. So certainly interesting to see a pretty much more or less the full team that started against Frankfurt as well.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe was looking for a reaction, Derek. Maybe the players, he was thinking that the players, because of the huge disappointment of that game, needed to get back into a game as soon as possible to try and prove something. That's certainly what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to go out there and absolutely annihilate Hearts, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought we were going to score quite a few goals. You're about to get into Derek. Certainly the performance was there in the game, but not the goals, unfortunately.
Yeah, but certainly the game itself, I felt Hearts maybe, and I know you're going to disagree, but I felt maybe Hearts the first 10-15 minutes started off the slightly better team. They had probably the two early best chances where they had one that went for, I think his name's Sims, that went he slid in and it went just by the post. Then he had a one no long after that, very similar, and then it hit the post. However, we then got complete control of the game and we were in complete domination. We just couldn't find that goal.
Yep, completely. As you say, two very early chances for Hearts. They tried to go for it. And that was it from Hearts. That was their two chances throughout the whole game. I can't remember Hearts getting anything anywhere near a goal after, I think, the sort of 12th minute of that match. It was a complete domination from us after that, Derek, but we just could not score. That was the issue. We had all the ball. We were doing all the attacking. We just couldn't find the net. That was the big issue. And again, we were worried that it was going to go to another extra time and penalties, weren't we? Which I really wasn't. I was hoping that we were going to finish the game off in 90 minutes. We certainly deserved to win the game in 90 minutes, but it wasn't to be.
No, kind of the story of early on in the season, wasn't it? All the possession, all the kind of half chances, just couldn't find the net. I mean, I think Craig Gordon, did have a few good saves in the game as well.
Yes.
John Souttar, our, future player, had a great game as well. Yeah, probably Hearts' best player.
Definitely, 100%.
And I think maybe towards the 70th minute, Hearts almost looked as if they had given up. They wanted it to go into extra time, thinking, well, this team have just played 90 minutes in penalties. They'll be deflated. We'll hit them on the break and we'll get them in extra time. But they never turned up. We completely dominated even more, and we got the two goals with Ryan Jack scoring on the 94th minute with an absolute peach of a curling shot. What Craig Gordon was claiming for, waving his arms about, I don't know.
No one does. No, even his own players know what he was claiming for.
But I think if you remember, Dave, Willie Collum was having probably the worst game any referee in Scotland has ever had, because he was getting everything wrong. He was about 10 yards behind every single play. I mean, he was given things the opposite way about. There was one where Bassey got completely taken down and he gave nothing for it. There was another one where Kent, shortly after, got completely taken out. The Hearts player fell and he gave a foul to Hearts.
Yes.
Just unbelievable. There should have been a red card for the Hearts player in I think the 5th minute when he was only given a yellow. Just crazy. So I think he's maybe thinking he's having that bad a game, I'll just wave my arms about, make him put doubts in his mind, and he'll reverse the decision to give the goal.
But possibly, I don't know. But a fantastic goal, nonetheless, Derek. A goal worthy of winning a cup final. It was he struck it supremely. There's no way that the keeper was saving that with the power that he put on that, and an excellent goal at that stage for us.
Yep. And so we kind of thought the game was done at that point, but however, a few minutes later, on the 97th minute, up steps Scott Wright and scores the second goal. Brilliant.
Excellent goal. Really pleased for him as well, Derek. He gets a bit of stick also, but a very composed finish by him. Really pleased, that they scored, and we deserved it. They deserved to win it, so I was pleased in extra time that we got the two goals. It wasn't just the one goal that settled it, and it let the players go out and celebrate with the fans, because we did need that one, and it was an excellent victory for us, and a good performance as well, Derek. It was, as I say, just a pity that we couldn't score in the 90 minutes, but certainly extra time we went out and showed that the fitness levels are there, supremely there, and blew Hearts away.
Yep, absolutely. Jack came on for Davis in the 81st minute. Same with Kamara on for Arfield. Wright, you're talking about Wright scoring. He did come on for Diallo in the 63rd minute. Diallo was booked for absolutely nothing in the game, and I think that's what he ultimately came off for, because he was in a good game up until that point, booked for nothing, and he had given another foul away apparently just after that, and I think he was taken off before he was unfairly sent off. Sakala came on in the 105th minute as well for Aribo. Disappointed we never seen Lowry on, because we've seen him before and he's lit the games up, so
totally.
A bit disappointing that there. But one other good thing though as well, and I think it was certainly a sign, on the 119th minute McGregor came on for McLaughlin. I don't think he touched the ball, but it was certainly just a good sign to say that I'm probably going now, don't you think?
Well, that's the vast majority of people were taking that. I've read a few things that no, it was because he's not had a Scottish Cup medal, and it's a Scottish Cup winners medal and stuff, and that was the only way that he was going to get it and stuff like that. I think just reading between the lines, Derek, that was him there to say goodbye. That was his final swan song for us, coming on. With a minute to go, just to say goodbye to the fans. There's been a lot of speculation that's not been the case, but that's certainly what I was reading between the lines. That's what I thought it was, that was going to be his farewell appearance for the team.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see in the coming weeks, because of obviously this transfer speculation that Davis is going to sign a new deal. So we'll see if that applies to McGregor as well. But certainly, we've seen it this year. His age is now showing, but he's been a tremendous servant, and all you can say is, he probably has been our best ever keeper. You've got to say that.
Well, yeah, it's certainly gone, and I mean, we spoke about Andy Gorham earlier on, who was, up there as being the best keeper that I had ever seen. But going by what McGregor has been through, what he's done for us, he's certainly right up there, Derek. He's certainly going to be classed as one of the greatest keepers of all time that that played for us. So, we'll wait and see. I think it's the perfect time for him to bow out, Derek. But as you say, only time will tell if he's still going to be a Rangers player next season or not. Yeah.
So that leads us into transfer speculation now. Dave, you got a lot of feedback the other day about...
I got a lot of people agreeing with me. I got a lot of people speaking to me as if I was stupid, and that wasn't the point that I was trying to make, Derek. Let's talk for a second just about Calvin Bassey, Derek, especially in that Europa League final. The man was incredible. It's probably one of the most dominating performances I've seen by a player in any European final. I thought he was absolutely immense, even right into extra time. The athleticism for the guy, his positioning, the power, everything was absolutely incredible. And this is for a guy, Derek, who's playing at centre half, and he is a left back. Let's not forget that. He is growing into an absolutely sublime central defender. He really is. And a lot of people will say that that's not his best position. So, we all know his story. We got him on a free transfer or a youth fee, I can't remember, from Leicester City. He's came up, he played his bit part last season, and this season, because of injuries, he's played a lot of games for us at left back and at centre half. But certainly the last sort of third of the season, he's been absolutely incredible, Derek, and just got better and better as the season went on. And by far the best player on the park in that final.
Yeah, I mean, he was immense. You can see throughout the season how much he's developed, and that performance there, and especially in the European final, as you said, was absolutely outstanding. Quite rightly, he's drawn a lot of speculation about, is he going to go? I mean, certainly fees of around £25-30 million have been bandied about. Why not? I mean, Kieran Tierney he should be the kind of benchmark in terms of that, and he's got the potential to be a lot better than him, and he's not injured. He's not got bloody prawn cracker hips, has he? So,
what has annoyed me, Derek, is, and this is my thing here, is undoubtedly he's a phenomenal player. He's only 22. He doesn't play for England, but he's from an English background. He is going to get a lot of attention, but I just feel that there are so many fans out there desperate for us to sell him and get huge amounts of money for him. And again, it comes down to this whole thing of, well, you've just mentioned it yourself there, Derek, Kieran Tierney. And I think that there's people that are desperate for us to say, oh, we'll get more money than what Celtic got for Kieran Tierney. I don't care how much money that Celtic got for Kieran Tierney. I don't give a shit about any Celtic player and what they went for. It is just galling to me that we have a young guy here that has got the potential to be a superstar, but we're desperate to see how much money that we're going to get from him. I just don't get that part. And I've been getting all these people, it's the economics of the game. We're a selling club. We should be bringing in young players and selling them high. I understand all that. I don't disagree with it. But the fact that we are desperate to sell him for a huge amount, the same as the people desperate to sell Alfredo Morelos for huge amounts of money. I just don't get that. I want us to try. I mean, I would love us to keep this guy in our team another season and get into the Champions League, because I just think he's going to get better and better. But I just feel that people are desperate for us to sell him straight away. I mean, I don't know what your take is on that, Derek, but I just find it incredible that we've got this young guy in our team and folk are desperate for us to sell him as soon as possible for as much as possible. You know, when there's been no concrete offers out there, and I get the feeling that it's this whole one-upmanship on, oh, well, we're going to get more money than what Celtic got for Tierney. I really don't care. You know, if a huge bid comes in for any player, and I'm talking huge bid, of course we're going to sell. But my God, don't be desperate to get rid of the players. And that's what I feel is happening now.
Do you know my thoughts, Dave? This is why I don't get involved in transfer speculation, ins or outs. You know, I just think it's absolutely pointless to speak about something that's not really happened. I think you're right in some respects for the fact that, yes, if a big deal materialises, then yeah, of course, sell them.
Yes.
At the same time, I can understand where other people are coming from. I wouldn't say they were desperate to sell him, but I think it's a case of cashing in on a player when he's at his highest. Now, you look at the Goldson as a prime example. Now, he's been allowed to run his deal down because he's not signed a new deal. He wants a big money move. That's his prerogative. That's fair enough. We don't obviously know all the ins and outs, what's happened in the background. But see, at the end of last season, we could have sold him 5 million, maybe, considering how well we done in Europe last year, how solid we were as well. And it was an unbeaten season and a record-breaking in terms of goals conceded season. Yeah, we could have made a wee bit of money for him. Now he's going for nothing. You look at Brian Laudrup was allowed to run his contract down. We could have sold him for a decent amount of money. We got rid of him for nothing. You know, I think in this day and age, I think you sell Calvin Bassey for £25 million. And I disagree. I don't think we are trying to match what Celtic done. We're using that as a template and saying, well, if they got that, then our player in this kind of considering what he's done is worth more than that. But I think if you look at it that way, we sell one player in terms of Bassey, and yes, I would love him to stay. I would love him to develop and be this amazing player and stay with us for ages. And you know, with him staying, he brings us a great player and the success. And then we don't need to sell players, but that's no the world we live in. So we sell that one player for £25 million. There's a transfer budget for the next year.
But again, we've already covered, Derek. We've made excess of £40 million this season by getting to that final, right? So, and I do get it, right? I do get it. If there's a huge bid, you sell somebody. But you're saying that you don't think. All I can see, and again, it's the whole social media thing. But all I seem to see is there's no way that we're selling Bassey for 10 million. 25 million, we'll sell him for 25, we'll sell him for 25. This magical number of 25 million has came out, and so many people constantly tweeting about it, constantly posting about it on Facebook, constantly. It's in the media all the time as well, this figure of £25 million. I'm very much a case of, you know, que sera, sera. I would rather keep the guy and hopefully get into the Champions League. I don't, you know, and until there's an actual concrete offer made out there, then, you know, you don't look into it. But I just feel that there are so many people desperate for us to sell him to get a huge figure so that they can turn around to whoever and say, oh, well, we got the highest transfer fee in Scotland for one of our players. I honestly think it's a lot to do with that, Derek. So it's I find it annoying. I would love to see him playing for us in the Champions League next season and dominate the way that he did there. I think he's only going to get better and better. But I'm not stupid. If a huge, you know, bid does come in from, then you've got to take it. But again, I'm not going to say any more until anything actually does happen, until there's a concrete bid. It was just an observation that I had on social media where I felt that a lot of our fans are desperate for us to sell him. And I just had to get it out there, Derek. That was it. And a lot of people agreed. A lot of people didn't, and it and a lot of it got taken away the wrong way. But there you go.
I just think, much like when you're buying a house is only worth what somebody's willing to pay, and that's the exact same with a football player. It's, as you said, it's all speculation. It's why I don't get involved in it. I just think that as well, people are a bit on edge because of what happened, I think, for the Champions League qualifying last year. Is we didn't really spend a lot of money. I don't think we had to spend a lot of money, to be honest, but it turned out that the squad's quite clearly shown that, as it was, we're good enough to do some great things in Europe. And on that day in Malmo, they never turned it on. That's for me what it was. But I think people are antsy because they're thinking, right, we've got 2 qualifying rounds to get through now. We need to spend money to refresh the team, which undoubtedly needs done. We sell a player to get money because you've got to remember we're hemorrhaging money at the same time as well, which directors are backfilling. So that money we made in the Europe this year might not all go to, or probably won't all go to transfer funds. But we'll wait and see what happens. So Dave, that kind of wraps up the podcast and the season for this season. So Dave, I think when you look back in the season, extremely disappointed we never won the league because we threw it away. We were in a commanding position and it's our silly draws that have kind of let us down, as we've already covered. Europe was an absolute joy to watch sometimes, and to get to the final with the team we've got, fighting against the clubs we played against, is nothing short of unbelievable. I am so proud of the team this year. We won the Scottish Cup, disappointed obviously in the League Cup, but that was extenuating circumstances. Because you've got to bear in mind this season has caveated with we had a manager change in the middle as well. So overall, Dave, disappointing we never won the league, but at the same time I would still say it was a successful season.
No, you're right, Derek. I think I can't really sum it up any better than what you've said. It's a season that we'll remember for a long, long time. Some incredible games. We threw the league away, exactly what you said there, getting to the European final, incredible. The one thing, though, Derek, again, and as maybe a lot of people will say this, it's maybe a sort of a small thing, but even winning the Scottish Cup, we got over that sort of Hampden hoodoo, didn't we? Because we've not won a trophy at Hampden in a long time. So for the players to go through the season they did, to get a wee bit of silverware, for the fans, it's been good. But again, are we happy the way the season ended up? If it's a strange one, isn't it? It's a strange season to look back. Happy to certain bits, unhappy at other bits. It's certainly a season I don't think we'll have again for a long time, but certainly one that we'll remember, Derek.
Yes. So Dave and I will be back at the start of the season at some point. We're now into the summer break. I think we've got 7-8 weeks before our next game. I think if we've calculated that out right, we'll be going into the Euro qualifiers first. The good thing is that even if we do get put out of the Champions League qualifiers this round, we're straight into the group stages of the Europa League. So we've got a great competition to go into, one where certainly got a good chance of doing well in, if not winning, as we've proven this year. Dave and I will be back at some point before that. We will be needing to change the format, as I said in the last podcast, because I can't physically do this anymore the way we've been doing it with this lengthy podcasts, as this one's turned out to be. I will still need to take notes because I think this podcast proven it to try and keep us on track. It might mean that Dave will maybe need to take a wee bit more of the reins and do the post matches if he's not being lazy or anything like that. So.
Had to get that wee dig in there, eh? Always.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no classic match tonight, Dave. What you did.
I know, and I've got one sitting, mate, but I think we've went on far too long without adding that to it as well. So yes. that can wait.
Yes. So all that's left to say to everyone, thanks for listening. We're going into our 10th season doing this next year, so who would have thunk it? All this time, us two talking pish, and we're still going. We have a small but loyal listener base, but we are grateful for all of you.
We certainly are.
So thanks very much for listening. Have a good summer and goodbye.
Take care, folks. Goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.